Welcome in, everyone. Draft Day Sports College Football 27 new version is out. If you've not picked it up yet, I highly recommend this version. I think it's got a lot of great new additions in it, and quite honestly, I think it's probably one of the most solid releases they've had. I've never, in the past, I guess I've never really moved or felt comfortable moving a league kind of from a previous version into a new version quite as fast as I have this one. So I think we just come out of first access and don't think we've even had the first patch release. I do know that there is some chatter, I guess, on the in the Discord or in the forums where I think there's the new training piece of it. I think it's a learning curve for a lot of people. And I think something may have gotten fixed in that. I'll show you kind of something I'm seeing on that on my end, as well as far as covering a couple of those things. But season 2 for my UAB Blazers for a continued journey is finally here. Finally getting this thing back off the ground and getting kind of back up to speed on it, and was really out of it. And you know, the last few months I had several other things kind of happening, but really kind of looking forward to seeing where this team goes. You know, again, last year I was 4-8. Ended up with the 34th ranked recruiting class. Got me a 4-star quarterback out of New York, which was a major need. I think my passing game was just really just non-existent last year, so I'm trying to right the ship on that a little bit. And out of the 25 recruits I got, and you know, the couple transfers, I did look like I may have upgraded in many positions. There's going to be a lot of freshmen getting a lot of playing time. I think probably out of those 25, there's going to be 15, at least 15, getting significant playing time, and probably as many as 8 or 10 that's going to be in starting roles as well. I did get a sophomore linebacker transfer out of LSU, Angelo Mingo, and really needed that too. He's kind of my quarterback on defense. He wears the headset, and kind of I'm looking probably at him as far as, you know, kind of directing the defense and trying to keep things from going off the rails defensively too much on that. But getting back to our season, so week 1 we have Troy, the Troy Trojans. We played them at their place last year. Was favored to win, should have won, could have won, didn't win. Really got embarrassed. I think we led that game at halftime, something like 24 to 21, I believe, at halftime. We were leading, and then the rails just kind of came off in the second half, and I made the mistake. I think a lot of it was really on me and my game planning, because I was really aggressive without really having the players. I didn't have the speed on defense or anything, and they had a really good dual threat quarterback, and I was really aggressively playing them last year, and I couldn't contain them from getting outside. And I will say, you know, it did look like they came out and was really wanting to throw on me. They didn't really throw very well, and a lot of the quarterback's yards that they ended up gaining was me flushing, you know, shutting down the passing game and the lanes and flushing them out, and I just didn't have the speed to contain him from getting to the outside, and he ended up running for close to 200 yards. I think he had like 187 yards or something ridiculous. And then they kind of blew me out of the water the second half, outscored me 20-3, and I think I lost that game 41-27, I believe. Complete embarrassment, and was definitely one I put the dart on the calendar for this year, because I'm like, all right, let's see if we can kind of plan them a little bit better, and we have them at home in this game. So I went through my initial, I think the last episode's season 2, episode 0, I kind of went through some of the recruiting. I kind of filled my board with 100 recruits, and you know, I went through and basically did a phone call or a home visit. I think I did 85 phone calls and 15 home visits. Did an interview on all of them. Probably the one thing that kind of I guess not pitching something is as bad as pitching the wrong thing, maybe. Because I went through and initially did those phone calls and home visits on all 100 recruits, and some of the higher end recruits, it seemed to have had negative impact because I guess I just really didn't have anything to say. But I was just wanting to kind of really get what information I could, back from them to at least try and make the right pitch. So what I've done on this version going into week 2 for the Baylor game is I've went ahead and made a pitch. So I've went back through and again I've contacted all 100 again, select few that I've done phone calls on, and I've got another 15 home visits because I do have some scholarships. I think I've offered 6 scholarships out of the gate last week out of the 20 that I have. I think I've added 3 more to that, so I think I've got 9 scholarships out there now. With very little information, but they're high enough that I feel like they're still going to be better than almost anything I really have on my roster currently right now anyway. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump in. So I did get into week 1. I did play Troy. I had them at home, game planned them, set up my defense a little bit different, played a lot of zone coverage, didn't want to get my back to the quarterback, was conservative, tried to get set up the speed to the outside to kind of keep him in the pocket as much as possible. And without further ado, let's go ahead and pull up and see what we did. So we actually ended up having a really, really good game. We ended up winning 44-6. Revenge, sweet revenge. That was really was awesome. Felt really great. Led 24-3 at halftime. Closed out the second half with a 20-3 win, 20-3, and ended up overall winning 44-6. Had 482 yards to their 245, and 354 of that was on the ground. Young quarterback, so I have a freshman quarterback, the New York kid from Mark Penn from New York. Really didn't want him to make mistakes. Didn't want to really kind of try and press passing or do anything like that. I felt like my running game is still really, really solid. It's still probably the strong point of my offense right now, without a doubt. But Penn came out and was 15 of 22 for 128 yards through 3 touchdowns and no interceptions. Got caught behind the line once, but I think that was probably my fault on a play call that I did. He's not fleet of foot, so he's not going to run from some of these guys. So I've got to watch that pretty close. But all in all, he had a really, really good game. I didn't try and put him in any kind of situations. When I needed a 3rd and 5, he was completing a 6 or 7 yard pass. So 128 yards. He really didn't have anything downfield. I think I tried to go downfield like a couple times, but didn't really put the pressure on anything to do that. I just kind of was still trying to run. Saunders, so another freshman, had a really good game. 139 yards on 17 carries. Had 2 long runs. Saunders had a 46 yard. Bedford had a 58 yarder. Bedford's my guy from last year. He had 1,221 yards last year. Had him in a backup role here, but I was kind of rotating them 2 in and out, and I was able to get Justin Williams and Bernard Dykes in for a few carries as well late in the game when it was kind of pulled away. So all in all, had really good effort on the running game side. Receiving, another freshman, Kelvin Camp, 5 targets, 5 receptions. Nothing blistering down the field as long as 15 yards, but again, like I said, when I had a 3rd and 5 and needed to pick that up, I was getting basically a 7-yard completion. So LJ Motley, another freshman. This is the guy that's got over 90 speed, so he's the one that's going to, hopefully, we'll figure out what's going to happen with him. But again, 4 targets, 4 catches. So basically, these 2 freshmen from a freshman quarterback had 9 targets, 9 catches between both of them. Holyfield, Barkley, and Menser are guys I had last year, and Holyfield is basically my number 2 go-to guy, I guess. Maybe in the passing game, I'm kind of looking to go to him a lot more as well. He had 5 targets and 3 catches. All in all, really good effort, good game there. Freshman kicker Hibbard did miss an extra point. Kind of disappointed in that. And then Seitz, was a punter last year, so he did pretty dang well punting. I think he had 47-yard average for the entire season last year, so he's got a leg on him. So, and then going down to my defense. Again, this is going to be, I'll go down the list here. So we had really great effort all the way down the list. So Mingo is the sophomore linebacker transfer that I picked up from LSU. Great game, 10 tackles, 2 for losses, forced 1 fumble. Kaiser, cornerback, freshman, good game. John Davis Cooper, another freshman. He had a great game, 6 tackles, 4 of them for loss on the edge. And I think a couple of those is where he was catching, getting the quarterback. He's doing what I couldn't do last year. So when Wilborn didn't have near the game he had last year. I'll cover them in just a second. But then McCray is a guy I had last year. DeLeon Ralston's another freshman linebacker I've got. Sheridan, another freshman. Sanford, freshman corner. Oliver, another freshman in between Oliver and Cooper. They did a great job. And then Amara Karwa I had last year, but then this Lucero and Williams are 2 more freshmen I had. So basically on that defensive side, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 freshmen in the game that got considerable snaps on the defensive side. Mentally had a pretty solid game. Didn't really have any, had 2 penalties. 1 on defensive encroachment, and then 1 of them on the offensive side. I think it was a holding. And that hurt because I think on that play it was about a 25-yard run that I broke off to, which probably the reason I got the run is probably because Josephson held, but got called back on holding. That was really the only really negative play that I really had for the entire game, for the most part, really. Again, they had 7 penalties, we had 2. But kind of going back and looking at them, Wilborn, again, they ran a lot of option. I know last year they didn't. I didn't see them run the option play on me. It was between Wilborn and Turf. Probably almost 50% of their damn plays might have been trying to run that option. Turf carried 14 times for 53 yards, and Wilborn carried 10 times for 62 yards. He did have a 17-yard run, but for the most part, kept him contained much better than I did last year. And probably, definitely, at least 3 or 4 of those carries or carries where he was passing, and I flushed him out. But he had a mediocre day, really passing. He didn't do a lot. He was under 50% on his completion percentage and only threw for 106 yards. And I did get to him twice, which I think last year I didn't sack him at all. Didn't get to him at all. This year I did get him twice. I think Poole got him once and Sheridan got him once. And he did throw a pick. I think that came in the second half. And nothing else really extraordinary or really is kind of telling outside of what they did. They never got in my red zone, never got inside the 20-yard line the entire game. The 2 field goals they got was, I think, a 40-yarder and a 46-yarder. So I guess the closest they actually maybe got down on my side was maybe in the first half when they got down to my 23-yard line. Outside of that, I don't know that they really crossed over the 50 very much. If they did, I mean, they might have got to the 40 and had to punt. So it's really just a outstanding effort. It was great to see all these freshmen play and kind of pick it up. I was I think a 4-point favorite in this game. So I was expected to win. I was at home. They had me as a 4-point favorite, so I'm not going to get too high on everything. I mean, this coming week's going to be the real tell. I've got to go to Waco and play at Baylor. And they are ranked 17th in the country right now. They had a big win against Texas State. I think they beat them like 45-15. Their quarterback Philip Russell did a outstanding. Had a really good game. So I gotta really figure out how I'm going to try and play that. And I think a lot of my young freshmen, lower skill guys that I'm kind of trying to play definitely got the talent. Got more talent than anything I've got on my roster, but some of their skill position ratings might not be the best, and they're going to be vulnerable, especially to some of these bigger teams. Looking up and down Baylor's roster, and they're pretty damn stacked. I think they're going to be hard. I think they're probably going to be pretty hard to beat in the Big 12 this year. But that said, so that was a great game there. I've got week 2 coming up, and right now they've got Baylor as a heavy favorite. They're 16.5-point favorites. Looking at the matchup, there's really not a whole lot to go on. We've got basically one game, so it's going to be our first matchup against playing Baylor. We have not played them last year, so going to be the first years. But as you can see, that Philip Russell was 18 of 21 for 301 yards. Great game he had. So I've got to figure out how I'm going to shut that down as best I can. And that Jock Jones, I think he's their deep threat guy. Of course, he had 3 catches for 124 yards. So he looked like he had a couple long breaks. You can kind of look at the offense and defense, and again, one game isn't much to go by. Right now, I'm basically first in the conference and rushing, and third in the entire country, 354 yards on the ground that I had. But then again, like I said, that was against Troy. So that'll kind of dial in, I'm sure, a little bit as we kind of get through more and more of the season. Going back to week 1, there was some definite upsets in week 1, and we'll go through and cover. Well, first let's look at a couple of the overtime games. There was one out there. It was this Colorado State-Colorado game, 60-58, but it looked like it went into like 5 overtimes. It was crazy. So that one was very interesting. And then, of course, Louisville ended up pulling it out against Kansas State in another overtime game. But going to the top 25 games, starting down here at the bar, Auburn won big. North Carolina barely got by Coastal. La Monroe upset Florida. Florida was ranked number 21. La Monroe pulled it off and beat them 34-24. Maryland covered their spread against Pittsburgh. Ole Miss covered their spread against Arkansas State. And here is probably the biggest upset to me. Hawaii beat number 19 Oregon. Oregon was a 20-point favorite and lost by 26 to Hawaii. Crazy there. Oklahoma won big against Boise State. Baylor won big against Texas State. Memphis pulled it out against, or Tennessee pulled it out against Memphis. Utah took care of Brigham Young. There was a couple more upsets here. Let's see, Michigan won, USC won, and Stanford beat Notre Dame. That was another upset. I think Notre Dame was favored by 21 and lost by 5. Notre Dame was ranked number 10, and then Iowa State just blew out Miami. Miami had to go to Ames. Should have won. They only had Miami as a 2-point favorite, which is kind of interesting to me, especially with Miami being the number 11 team ranked in the country. But I guess they knew what they were talking about. Iowa State beat them by 4 touchdowns. And then Clemson took care of Missouri. Penn State won big against FIU. The only ranked versus ranked game, I think, for the entire week was this Washington-Texas game. Texas ranked number 6. Washington was ranked 14th. Texas pulled it out. They were only a 1.5-point favorite, but they did end up winning by 11. It looks like they pulled it out in the fourth quarter because it looked like Washington kind of had a 27-19 lead going into the fourth quarter, and Texas took care of business, scoring 22. LSU won big against Michigan State, and Florida State won big against Houston. Alabama won big against the Miami of Ohio, and Georgia took care of Georgia Southern. And then the number 4 team in the country, Ohio State, took care of Cincinnati. So again, a couple big upsets: Miami losing, Oregon losing, and of course Florida losing. I guess those were the big ones for week 1, which is, I guess, always filled with some kind of upsets. You kind of see them. It's realistic. I mean, it does happen. I don't know that you typically have 3 games like that in week 1, but that's not. It'd be nice to have played Baylor, I guess, week 1 and been one of those that might have been able to pull out that upset and kind of be talking about my UAB Blazers as being one of the upsets, one of the big ones. But we're going to the league home, so I did pick up prestige updates. So by blowing out Troy, I guess as big of a margin as what I did pick up about a half a percentage point, I guess, on prestige. So I got a little bit of a bonus there. And nothing changed too much on the top 25, I guess. Early in the season, I think you have a tendency to kind of see a lot of teams kind of move around a lot. So if you look at this, there's like teams climbing 6 spots and teams dropping 8 spots and so on and so on. And Alabama's climbed 6 spots, and you've got Penn State dropping 5. Florida State, who won their game, was number 1 in the country, but they dropped 3 spots. I'm not sure why, but it's just ripples out. I think after you get about 4 or 5 weeks into the season, that kind of starts rippling out a little bit, and it doesn't really seem to have these kind of big as big of changes, I guess, if you will. So nothing too honestly different there. Again, there's not really any non-power team that's really broke into the top 25 yet after week 1. I really wouldn't expect that anyway. Going into week 2 matchups. So looking at Conference USA, again, a lot of these are non-conference games. I think pretty much all of them are non-conference games. Still out of this. So Middle Tennessee's playing South Florida. SMU's got South Alabama. East Carolina's got Western Kentucky. Marshall's going to play Troy. Be interesting to kind of see what Marshall does with Troy, or what Troy does with Marshall after our beatdown of them. Good game up there is going to be in Memphis and Mississippi. That's going to be a fun, interesting one. I think Memphis kind of had a rough go of it there. To back-to-back weeks, they had to play Tennessee last week and lost, and now they got Mississippi on another ranked opponent on their schedule. Tough sledding for them. And then Southern Miss has got Mississippi State, so we'll be kind of curious to see what they do against the SEC there. And then, of course, our game against number 17 Baylor. Let's see what top 25 matchups we've got. So nothing extraordinary. Now, I will be curious to see what Oregon has to travel to Nevada after getting upset and losing. It only has them as a 1-point favorite against Nevada. That's crazy to me. I don't understand. You do have a number 12 against number 11 here. Michigan, USC. Michigan is going on the road to USC, but they are favored by 1. That should be a good matchup there as well. Then you've got number 7 Penn State traveling to number 13 Texas A&M, and Penn State is a 10.5-point favorite in that game on the road. And outside of that, there's not any other rank versus rank. Alabama, your top 5 basically is Ohio State's hosting Iowa State, and then Georgia's on the road against West Virginia, and UNLV's traveling to Alabama, and then I guess number 4 is off, and then LSU's on the road against Boston College. So that's kind of where we're at on the upcoming games. I do have my game plan and everything kind of set, so kind of where we are. So we're sitting on our recruiting spend currently at the moment. I am sitting at about a $500,000 spend on recruiting right now, because I've again, like I said, I've really blistered out on those 100 recruits. I've contacted all of them, both last week and this week going into the Baylor game. And I've hosted, or I've actually had home visits. I've had 30 home visits. My max is 15, and I've actually had 15 and 15 on both of those. I'm not doing hosting any kind of campus visits. We're on the road this week. Looking at the schedule, it doesn't look like I'm really going to be able to do that until week 6, where I'm going to have South Alabama. So I'm probably going to max that one out. I would expect that I will be probably favored in that game, I'm hoping. I'm just going to try and have to get as many as I can in that game. Then week 7, I'll have another home game, so I'll host some more against Houston, but probably not as many, because that's going to be probably a much tougher win for me, if I can even pull that one off. So again, depth chart is basically set. Not changing too much of anything here. I'm still going to go with Penn. We've got Sanders, another freshman. Camp. I've got Motley out. He's not really great against the run. He's great speed, but he's not a really good run blocker. So I kind of rotate him in and out. I've got Holyfield and Barkley coming in, kind of on those. But I do have him slotted in my pass only package. And then on the defensive side, basically again, all four front linemen are basically freshmen: Cooper, Oliver, Lucero, and Sheridan. And then I've got a sophomore transfer in Mingo. I've got my another freshman, Ralston, on the outside, and then both corners are against the run, at least, are freshmen as well. Yeah, that's right. And then from a strategy standpoint, game planning, I'm just basically going to go into Baylor. I'm going to try and be conservative on offense and slow tempoed and just as balanced as I can be, basically all the way across. Running back role is going to focus on running. Tight end roles are going to focus on blocking. I'm just going to be balanced as much as possible. I really don't know that there's any one thing that I can attack on Baylor, because they're better at everything on that side. So I'm just going to have to go balanced and try and go with the flow of whatever works. If running's working, I'll continue to do that. If passing's working, then I'll try and figure it out in game. Still have my min maxes set on 70-80. That seems to be a pretty good mix, and even again in this version, nothing's really changed there. I am getting good rotational guys coming in and out with that mix. So instead of them waiting until they get all the way down to 65 and taking more snaps, I'm getting them out a little bit early, and then letting them come back in a little bit sooner too, instead of waiting until that default 85, I think is what it was. Defensively, I was aggressive against Troy. I was conservative against Troy. But I'm going to be aggressive against. I just feel like I've got to get pressure. If I get burned, I get burned. But the only way to really probably slow them down is just not give them the time to make the plays. If I can basically just try and be as aggressive as I can. Primary coverage, I'm going to go zone, because I think, man, I'm just going to get the snot beat out of me if I just try and play too much man on those guys, especially if I can't get to Russell and he has the time to get it downfield against my two freshman corners. They're good, but they're not Power 5 starting elite corners. So it's going to be interesting. The line roll and linebacker roll is just going to stay mixed. Mingo's still going to be my radio guy, and I'm just going to go balance coverage as much as I can. There's not any one player to target. If I could target Russell, I probably could, but I don't think the quarterback is ever listed in the target player. But there's not any one guy that I'm going to target there. And I'm just going to basically keep these two the same. I don't think it really. A counter strategy I don't think is going to work too well in this game. It's a guessing game for me, especially only having one game to kind of go off of, and I just got to feel like too that they're going to come out and throw on me and then just try and run the ball down my throat as much as they can. So that's kind of where we are on the strategy piece. And so now we're probably about 30 minutes into this. I'm trying to keep these videos down, or these down to about 30 minutes, if at all possible. I know last year I was kind of north of an hour on just about everything, and I was trying to do some in-game coverage and stuff like that. I'm just not going to worry about this year. I'm just going to basically cover those. But we'll jump into recruiting real quick, kind of go through this and kind of sneak a peek at where we kind of have some of our targets. And currently right now, I contacted everybody. I didn't have any kind of pitch set, and a lot of the feedback that I got from last week was, especially on these higher end recruits, was more negative than anything else, and I'd expect it to be. I don't think even if I was pitching things, maybe it would be better, but I've still set some of my home visits, for some of these key guys, and I do have the scholarships kind of set out there for a few key positions and players, and those are really areas that I just really have to have. Going down the quarterback line, I really don't need a quarterback. I'm one heavy still right now because I did sign Penn and I didn't lose any quarterbacks last year. I do have one graduating this year. Farrell's going to be gone, which is going to drop me back to 4, which I would be fine with, especially having Penn another year of Arlen. Next year will be his senior year, and then I've got Penn, who's going to be a sophomore going into next year. So, but I am going to go after this Verrett guy. I mean, he has some good interest on me right now. He looks fairly solid. He's local, and he valued close to home is off the charts right now. His top schools are Jacksonville State and UAB. And I got to sit there and think I've got a really good shot at trying to get this guy. Just I don't like a lot of his work ethic stuff and leadership and things like that, especially for the quarterback position. Definitely want more in this area for a quarterback. That's the one knock. Now this other guy's another local guy. He's a little better in those areas, more so than what Verrett is. But he's another one that's local in Birmingham and does favor being close to home. Now he's got Alabama on his radar, and he is a 4-star and probably looking to go more to a higher prestige school possibly, but don't really need that. Again, running back, I'm kind of covered there. I don't know that I do kind of like this Woolfolk guy a little bit. He's pretty good. His intelligence is not quite where it needs to be, but I don't really need that. Now fullback, I am losing both of my fullbacks. I do went ahead and made an offer out here to this top guy here. I do like his speed in his hands, and I do like his pass and run blocking, and he's good and strong. Not very agile, which is okay, and that's fine. Just trying to figure out what I can get to kind of slip in there to replace Ware. Again, Ware was really my walk. He did good against Troy as well. He had that early touchdown and a couple of key first down runs, third and short runs. Even in that Troy game, it didn't show on the stat sheet. I think he only carried four times for 17 yards or something like that. But all 4 of those carries were good first down carries or red goal line carries. So I'm trying to replace that and kind of keep that in the mix. I'm hoping Hargrove might be able to do that. Tight end, I don't really need a tight end. I do like these guys, and particularly Potter, especially for him to be a 3-star ranked 1156. He looks pretty good. His C hands are just kind of average on him at best. Wide receiver, I am going to have to replace a couple of these guys. I do like this Michael Ruggs. He's one of them that is there. He's 6'6", and his hands, his speed's a B, but his hands are an A. So apparently he's 6'6" and just basically can snatch anything out of the air. So his top school's Memphis. They haven't offered him yet. He is from Tennessee, but I've kind of got my offer out there to him. Another guy that this Brandon guy looks like he's really fast as well. Just no running pass blocking, which is okay. I just keep him on a pass package possibly, but he just has really just crap personality ratings. There was one other receiver in here. I think it might have been this Ralston Cornell. Again, he's doesn't have anything from a personality there. And then going into the linemen, I've got a few here. I like this Yost a lot. And tackle, I'm going to have to replace, I think, 2 tackles. I've got one offer out there, and one of them's this guy here. And really kind of want this guy pretty badly. He's pretty good personality ratings, and just coaches have me for a strong target on him as well. I mean, he's out of Virginia, so he's kind of out of my area. He doesn't really value playing close to home, so I don't think that's really going to matter too much. He does have Duke on his radar. If they come calling, I'm probably going to lose him. There's a couple more in here that, like this Russ Bryant and Andy Dasher. I think Boucher even is pretty good fallbacks too. I just got to get through a couple more weeks. I do need another center. I've got one leaving. I do have Judith, who was a freshman this year. He was a recruit that I had. But I do like this Baumgartner a lot as well. So I kind of have him out there to kind of hit, and he's local. He's in state. And then no kickers or punters. I don't need there. I'm pushing hard to get this Rourke Milligan. He looks pretty decent as well, but I'm losing 3. I think I've got to come up with probably 2 or 3. I need some interior help. I've got basically 2 freshmen starting this year, which is going to be good next year. They're going to have some experience as sophomores, but I've got to get a couple more filled in there. It's kind of the same boat with defensive end. I'm not losing as much, but I am going to need to probably pull another one in, and then linebacker is my desperate need. Right now I've got 2 offers out there right now. I've got this Britton Lanier, and he's local, Birmingham area guy. And then I've just sent one out to this Jermaine Corliss as well. He's out of Florida, but he's another one I want to try and nab as well. But I'm going to need probably, if I can land these 2, I've still got 2 more on this list that I've got to try and target hard and come in. I just don't want to try and target 4 of them at one time, where it's a negative impact. Now, the one guy a dark horse I have down here is this Randall Ferguson, a 3-star. He's overall ranked 1532. He's warm on me right now, but he looks pretty dang solid. And again, he's Birmingham guy too. He's out of Minor High School. So that's another one that I'm probably gonna throw in. I think I can probably nab him pretty easy if I extend an offer in the next week or 2. And then going down into corners, I've got a corner I've got to fill. I've got this guy here that's warm on me right now. He looks pretty solid, Marcus Jeffries. I'm going to keep kind of pushing for him. Again, local area in the county. And then I've got strong safety I'm going to need to fill, and I think I've got probably a couple of these free safeties. This Dalen Quiles, I've got an offer out there on him already as well. I do like him, and the other one that I think I might be trying to push, hopefully might be able to get him, but this Darrell Studdard, looks really solid as well. So I'm probably going to end up trying to go hard for him too. So that basically covers the recruiting and kind of where we stand there. There's not really a lot of offers that's kind of went out to anything off of my board. Yeah, like I said, I've got 9 offers out there to let's see, what do we have? 9 offers out there where I'm at. And then, some schools are throwing like this, number 8 and number 9. Of course, Oregon and Baylor's going after him. Alabama and Ohio State's going after this Brandon Colbert, the number 9 ranked running back. So some of these high-end guys are kind of getting offers, and some of those are starting to fall in. Probably expect to see a lot more offers kind of going out there. I really don't think we're going to see anybody committing here for the next few weeks. Until we kind of get further down into the area here. But yeah, so I'm on the road for the next 3 weeks, or through the next 3 games. It covers 4 weeks. I've got an open week after this Baylor game, so it's just going to be nothing but a recruiting week. So what I'll do is I'll get this Baylor game played, and I'll post up another episode after that and kind of review and see what worked and what didn't work there. But for this one, I will go ahead and leave this one there and post it. Again, week 1 winners against Troy, 44-6. A lot of freshmen playing. A lot of freshmen looked really good. No mistakes. Couldn't be happier, basically, with the outcome of where that happened and went. What I was going to say, so it did remind me, so I was going to cover this whole training piece, right? So I can't really cover it here because I can't show you what happens, because I've got an issue. So I went through all of my players. I did it before the Troy game in week 1, and I did it kind of coming into this Baylor game as well, to where I've went through and overrode some of the selections that was there, because what happens in the training is when you pull that up, you have your trainer listed, your position coach listed, your OC listed, and your home head coach listed, and all of the things that they can do. And it gives you like a burnout change, right? So a lot of these guys was sitting at like a -6. So there was several mental areas here where I would kind of go through and put in scrimmage, something that would help my game prep kind of climb, or either my conditioning kind of climb in these areas over here. And I would select that and but not let it go above into a positive number on this burnout change, right? And then I would save that, and I went all the way down the list of all 85 players and did that. Now I went back in to look at a couple of these, and now I noticed it's all gone. I don't know where it went. So I actually posted that up on the Discord. That's very interesting to me. And then also too, sitting here looking at the schedule summary, this is not at all anything like what I had or where I had. He never had a -13 burnout change. I think Arlen might have had maybe a -5. I changed a couple things, got it back to 0, and it kind of helped. And I try and target, especially on the game prep, climbing that up. So I try and use the tactics and the scrimmage and things that are going to kind of prepare me for the game if I'm changing out of some of these mentals that are on this. But it just all went away. I don't know where it went. I do know AKH did post something up there, so there was something where if you're auto managing burnout, and I noticed that too in some of the testing going through First Access and stuff like that, is if you let it auto do it, it doesn't do it very good at auto managing it, because I was getting emails from 4 weeks into the season, half of my damn roster was like just burned out, and it was negatively impacting everything that was happening. So that's kind of why I went in and just managed all of this on my own, trying to keep all of it where I'm kind of doing it, and getting this burnout change down to 0 to where I can try and maybe offset that on my own. I don't know if this happened the first week after Troy, if I would have went back in and the same very thing happened. I don't know. But it did happen here, and my concern is the schedule summary with everything that's over here, is this accurate? Because that's not at all what it was when I went through and changed it and set it. And it kind of concerns me, because if I go down the whole roster now, the good thing is none of my teams burned out. Everything's in the negative here. So, but the problem with this is it's almost like they're sitting there doing nothing and not practicing either, because nobody should be sitting here with a minus 18, especially my quarterback. Starting quarterback's a minus 8, negative 18 on burnout. So yeah, is he even showing up for practice? I mean, I don't know what's happening here. So hopefully that gets addressed. I'm going to basically get through this Baylor game, jump back in and look at the training piece of it. If it still happens and still looks a little bit flaky, to kind of get through this until it can kind of get addressed, maybe my only option might be to I think somewhere in here you can kind of go through. I think there's an area here where you can kind of go back to the old training. Yeah, you can uncheck this and not use that advanced training, and then it kind of goes back to the old training method. If it looks squirrely after this Baylor game and it looks like it's happening again, I may just go in and do the old training method until this can kind of get figured out, because I don't know what's happening there. But anyway, we'll close on that and end this one. And sitting 1-0, big win. A lot of freshmen playing, doing really well. And I'm just hopefully just see if we can actually get some have some success stories coming out of this Baylor game and see where we end. But until the next episode, I will close this one out, and everyone have a great day.